The Keepers of Shadows. A story of life in prehistoric caves and the magic of cave paintings. 30,000 years ago, when the world was a vast, frozen wilderness and the night stretched endlessly, a small clan of hunter-gatherers found refuge in the winding depths of what we now call the Lascaux Caves. Here, sheltered from the biting winds and the relentless cold, they lived by the flickering light of animal fat lamps and the sacred glow of an eternal flame. They called themselves the Shadows, for they moved through the half-light of the underground, their lives intertwined with the spirits they believed dwelled in the stone around them. For the Shadows, survival was not just a matter of hunting mammoths or gathering edible roots, it was a delicate dance with the unseen. They understood that the earth was alive, that the animals they depended on were not merely prey but guardians of a fragile balance. Their most sacred duty was to honor this balance through art. With hands stained by ochre and charcoal, they painted the walls of their caves with the likenesses of the great beasts, mammoths with tusks like curved moons, deer with antlers like branching trees, and aurochs with eyes that seemed to follow the living. These were not mere decorations. They were prayers in pigment, a way to call the spirits of the animals into the world of men, to ensure that the herds would return, that the hunts would be fruitful, and that the clan would endure. At the heart of the clan stood Thal, the keeper of the flames, a man whose broad shoulders bore the weight of his people's survival. His wife, Nara, was the guardian of their most precious secrets, the alchemy of colors, the language of the earth. She knew how to grind red clay into paint that would never fade, how to mix charcoal with water to create a black as deep as the night sky. Their daughter, Lena, was coming of age in a world where every mark on the cave walls was a conversation with the unseen. She had watched her mother prepare the pigments since she was a child, and now, on the eve of her first painting, she felt the weight of her people's hopes resting on her trembling fingers. But the Shadows were not alone in this frozen world. Other clans roamed the steppes, some respectful of the old ways, others hungry and desperate, willing to take what they needed by force. And beyond the reach of their torches, in the darkest corners of the caves, something else stirred, the echoes of the past, the whispers of the ancestors, the magic that bound them all together. This is the story of a people who believed that art was not just imitation, but invocation, that a line drawn in ochre could summon a herd, that a handprint on the wall could protect a child, that a story told in the language of symbols could outlast the lives of those who told it. It is a tale of survival and creativity, of fear and faith, of the enduring human need to leave a mark upon the world. For in the heart of the Lascaux Caves, the Shadows did more than survive. They dreamed in color, and in doing so, they ensured that their voices would echo through the ages, long after their bones had turned to dust. Chapter 1: The Clan of Shadows. 30,000 winters ago, when the earth shivered beneath a thick blanket of ice, a small clan survived in the depths of the Lascaux Caves. They called themselves the Shadows, for they lived in the half-light, illuminated only by the flickering glow of resin torches and the silvery light of stalactites. Their leader, Thal, a broad-shouldered man with sharp eyes like a predator's, had inherited from his father the title of Keeper of the Flames. His role was to maintain the sacred fire, a flame that burned perpetually in the center of the main cave, a symbol of the clan's survival. Around him, the clan members went about their daily tasks. Women wove baskets from willow and prepared reindeer hides, men carved flint tools or ventured out to hunt mammoth and reindeer on the frozen steppes, while the elders, seated near the walls, told stories by tracing patterns in the dirt with charred sticks. That evening, as the wind howled at the cave's entrance like an angry spirit, Thal gathered the clan around the fire. "Tomorrow, we paint," he announced in a deep voice. A shiver ran through the assembly. Painting was not a trivial act. It was a dialogue with the spirits of the beasts, a way to capture their essence to ensure they would return to offer their flesh and hides to the clan. Chapter 2: Preparing the Colors. Deep in the cave, where the air was damp and the walls wept reddish water, was the workshop of colors. This was where Nara, Thal's wife and keeper of the secrets of pigments, prepared the hues that would bring the beasts to life on the stone walls. Nara was a quiet woman, her fingers stained red and black, who understood the language of the earth. She knew that red earth from distant hills, mixed with reindeer fat, created a paint that would not fade. That crushed charcoal mixed with stalactite water made a black as deep as night. That yellow ochre, gathered near the frozen river, could evoke the sunlight on a lion's fur. That evening, she showed her 12-summer-old daughter, Lena, how to grind pigments in shells with a stone pestle. "The spirits love pure colors," she whispered. "They come more easily when we offer them beauty." Lena, her hands trembling with excitement, carefully crushed the ochre. She knew that tomorrow, she would be allowed to trace her first line on the sacred wall. A line that would mark her passage into adulthood. Chapter 3: The Ritual of the Painted Hunt. At dawn, as the first rays of sunlight barely pierced the cave entrance, Thal and 3 hunters, Brak, Tor, and Mog, moved toward the back of the cave, where the walls were smooth and awaited the clan's stories. With them, Lena carried a small pot of red ochre, her heart pounding at the thought of participating in this sacred ritual. Thal first lit a resin torch and outlined a mammoth on the wall. "We ask for your spirit, great beast," he murmured as he applied the paint with his fingers. "Return to us, offer us your strength." Brak, the youngest of the hunters, then drew a deer, its enormous antlers stretching toward the cave ceiling like branches. Tor, the eldest, added mysterious signs, wavy lines and dots representing stars and the invisible paths of spirits. Finally, it was Lena's turn. Thal handed her a piece of charcoal. "Trace life," he told her. The girl's hands trembled, but she took a deep breath and drew a winding line, like a river, beneath the mammoth's feet. "So that the water may always flow," she explained, proud. Thal smiled. "The spirits have heard you." Chapter 4: The Dance of Spirits. Once the paintings were complete, the clan gathered for the Dance of Spirits. The women beat rhythms on drums made of stretched hides, while the men, dressed in wolf skins and ibex horns, mimicked the movements of the beasts painted on the walls. Lena, her face painted with red stripes, danced in the center, her bare feet striking the ground in time. She felt a strange energy coursing through her, as if the spirits of the animals were passing through her. "They are here," Nara whispered in her ear. "They dance with us." Suddenly, Thal raised his arms, and the clan fell silent. A deep hush settled, broken only by the crackling of the torches. Thal pointed to the fresh paintings. "We have spoken. Now, we listen." A light breeze, almost imperceptible, swept through the cave, making the flames flicker. The shadows of the paintings seemed to move, as if the beasts were coming to life before their amazed eyes. Chapter 5: The Return of the Beasts. In the following days, the hunters set out toward the frozen steppes, guided by the paintings they had created. Thal and his group followed the tracks of mammoths, their steps light on the snow, their flint-tipped spears ready. And then, one morning, as the sun was just rising, they saw them, a herd of mammoths, their tusks gleaming with frost, slowly making their way south. Thal smiled. "The spirits have heard." The hunters waited, patient, until a young mammoth strayed from the herd. With a precise motion, Thal threw his spear. The beast fell, and the clan had enough meat and hides to last for moons. That evening, around the fire, Lena told the story of the hunt to the other children, her fingers tracing the shapes of the beasts she had helped capture on the walls in the air. "The spirits and we are bound," she said. "As long as we paint, they will return." Chapter 6: The Threat of Others. But not all clans were as respectful of the spirits. One day, Gore, the leader of a neighboring clan, arrived at the entrance to the Lascaux cave. He was accompanied by men armed with clubs and flint knives. "We are hungry," he growled. "Give us meat, or we will take your caves." Thal clenched his fists, but Nara placed a hand on his arm. "Violence begets violence," she murmured. "Show him our paintings." Thal hesitated, then led Gore and his men to the back of the cave. In the torchlight, the paintings seemed to come alive, the beasts appearing to breathe. Gore, usually so brutal, fell silent, his eyes wide. "This is magic," he murmured. "It is a pact," Thal corrected. "We give beauty to the spirits, and they give us life." Gore hesitated, then nodded. "I will take only what you can spare." Chapter 7: The Transmission. Years passed, and Lena became the keeper of colors in her turn. She taught her daughter, Maya, how to grind pigments and how to listen to the whispers of the walls. "The caves are books," she told her. "They tell our stories for those who will come after us." One day, Maya asked, "Why do we paint, Mama?" Lena smiled and showed her the paintings of mammoths, deer, and the river she had traced as a child. "Because we are more than flesh and bone. We are dreamers. And dreams, Maya, survive even when we do not." Epilogue: The Legacy of Shadows. Generations later, when the ice had receded and forests had regrown, men from distant lands discovered the Lascaux caves. They raised their torches and stood in awe before the paintings, as vivid as the day they were drawn. One of them, an old man with keen eyes, murmured, "They knew. They knew that beauty is eternal." And somewhere, in the echo of centuries, Thal, Nara, Lena, and all the shadows smiled, knowing their story would live forever, carved in stone and in hearts.